Alright, so what we're going to do today is we're going to go over the setup and the proper execution for a military press. Military press or overhead press is one of the basic movements for the shoulders, and there's also a lot of kind of technical details to it that a lot of people don't overhead press because either they don't know how to do it right or because they're concerned about injury. But as long as the setup is right, you should be okay. So what we're going to do is you start with the bar and power rack. You want to make sure that it's set at shoulder height or just below. You should never have to reach up and cup up to a bar. You always want to make sure that the bar is set in the rack low enough that when you come to it, you can come underneath it and lift the bar out with your legs. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you get the right hand spacing. Hand spacing should be at its closest, should be just outside the width of your shoulders. If you grip too narrow, you have to worry about fingers getting pinched between the bar and your shoulder. Obviously, you want to avoid that. And then if you go too wide, you don't want to go any wider than when you press with the wrist being directly over top of the elbow. That will be about as wide of a grip as you would want to take. Anything wider is going to place some extreme stress on the shoulder joint. So you're essentially looking, like I said, anywhere between at its most narrow, just outside the width of the shoulders, and at its widest, putting the wrist right over top of the elbow joint. When you take the bar out of the rack, you want to get close to the bar, and you want to take the bar out of the rack with your legs to save yourself some effort. And then you're going to walk back out of the rack. Feet should be about shoulder width apart. Traditional military press has you essentially lining the heels up together. You don't have to go to that extreme. It does put you a little bit less at balance, but it doesn't need to be a super wide stance. Legs should be fully extended. You want to avoid turning the military press into a push press, which is a big dip of the leg, so that's a completely different movement. The military press, you want to make sure that you keep your glutes tight when you're pressing. When you keep the glutes tight, essentially what it does is it protects the lower back. If I lean back, if my glutes are relaxed, my legs are relaxed, and I lean back as far as I can get a pretty decent arch in my lower back. Which you don't want to do, and sometimes you see people doing overhead presses, ends up looking almost like a standing bench press. They get so far back. If you keep the glutes tight and you drive the legs straight, when the glutes are flexed and you go to lean back, you'll be limited how far you can actually lean back. So for safety purposes, keeping the glutes tight kind of acts like almost like a weightlifting belt or a safety belt for the lower back, just by tightening up the glutes. So that's the first thing you want to do once you take the bar out of the rack. Make sure the legs are extended and the glutes are tight. You want to look straight ahead. You're going to push up, just out in front of the face. Obviously, don't hit yourself in the chin with the bar when you come up. But you also don't want to push out too far away from the body. You want to move the bar in as straight of a line as you can, so it's going to come up just enough to clear the chin. Press up, and then once I clear my head, I'm going to drive it straight back over my shoulders. And I'm going to push my chest underneath the bar, so I end up with the bar over top of the shoulders. The upper back ends up tight, the chest ends up spread, and as I push up, I'm going to flare my elbows out as I drive my chest under the bar. So I push up, flare the elbows out, full extension at the top, lower right back down to the collarbone. Okay, the bar should come back down to the collarbone each time. You don't stop at the chin. You don't stop at the nose. Full range has the bar coming all the way down to the collarbone. So again, driving straight up, press up overhead, lower back down with control, bring your head back a little bit out of the way when you bring the bar back down. So that is the basics behind a military press. So that's pretty much all there is to it.